What's up? Can you guys hear me? Hopefully you can hear me. Um okay, cool. Just making sure. Cool. Just decided to do a quick live stream here. I'm just gonna answer some questions. So drop your questions in the chat and I'll answer them. Can you critique the Army fitness test? I don't necessarily know too much about what that consists of. So if you can drop what it consists of, I guess I can give my thoughts on it. What do you think of leg extensions? I think a lot of people overuse leg extensions. My issue with leg extensions is that a lot of people will use it to replace single leg work, split stance work, versus using it with split stance and single leg work. So if you use it with that, I think leg extensions can be a great exercise to obviously isolate the quads and develop your quads. White House UFC predictions. I think Taporia is obviously going to win. And then for Gan versus Pereira, I think I have to think about that one, but I think Gan is going to win that one. Is not compensating at the spine a disadvantage in wrestling since it would be harder to actually more or lift your opponent? Well, are you compensating or are you using your spine to help you out? There's a difference between the two. Like you're not going to be, whenever you're in sport, you're not going to be rigid and just like that all the time. It's dynamic. You're going to be moving, expanding, and compressing. When is there more long form content coming out? Right now, I'm primarily focusing on improving my coaching and also doing short form content. So long form is kind of on the back burner right now. Can you tell me what red flags I should look for when I'm getting a S&C coach? I would say red flags would be, one would be like they try and make everything super sport specific. Like they try and mimic sport movements with their training. And the other one would probably be like they speak in too many absolutes. Like things are pretty complicated. Like fitness is pretty complicated. So if you're speaking in absolutes all the time, that's a red flag. Do you program any rotator cuff isolation exercises? Why or why not? It would depend on the person. Me personally, no. When it comes to your rotator cuff, a lot of it depends on your posture. Like, are you in a position where your rotator cuff is actually able to work properly? That's going to be the biggest factor in terms of your rotator cuff working well. And if you're doing free weight exercises, for the most part, I feel like you get enough stability. But if you're someone who struggles with shoulder issues and stuff, rotator cuff work can be beneficial. Something like arching your back to help finish takedowns. Hey, when you're doing your sport, do what you can to perform your sport at the highest level. I wouldn't overthink, your spine or moving. It's like, do your techniques, don't overthink it, Martin, you think hip extension is the most important for athletic ability too? I think you got to be strong everywhere, just have general strength. I think so many people overthink things like, oh, is hip extension really important? Is, this, and this important? It's like, just build general qualities, build general strength, build general power, build general endurance, and go and practice your sport. I think a lot of people think that strength and conditioning plays a much larger role than it actually does, when in reality, you're just preparing yourself to be able to meet the demands of your sport. What do you think of Phil Daru's training? I've seen a little bit of it. I think he is a good trainer from what I've seen. He trains high-level fighters, so clearly he knows what he's doing. Messi or Ronaldo? I don't think that's a question at all. Like, Messi's way, way better. Ronaldo's closer to Neymar than he is to Messi. Like, Messi and Ronaldo are on different planets. What do you think about picking niches for content creation? Is it as simple as picking your passion, or does there have to be a good amount of potential audience? I would say passion and being good at what you do. I'm kind of going down towards the posture niche just because that's what I'm passionate about. So if you're someone who's looking to start content creation, find something you're passionate about. If you pick something really broad, you're not really going to get anyone. especially because there's a lot of people to compete against. I'm really passionate about movement and posture because of what I went through. So that's kind of what I niche down to do now. I feel more comfortable dunking a basketball, taking one or two power steps rather than a big windup. Is form just bad, or could it just be my physiology? I don't know about the form, to be honest, but if you feel better doing one or two steps and dunking, then do that. What's up? Do you have advice on post training recovery for MMA athletes? Post training recovery, primary thing is nutrition and sleep. That's what's going to make the biggest impact. Like, yeah, you can do some breathing exercises and stuff, but make sure we get the foundational things in place first, which is, like I said, nutrition and sleep. I've been wrestling for 3 years now, and I'm an up and coming junior. I was thinking about going to a boxing gym for a month for fundamentals, and then try to go to Fortis to train MMA there. Is that a good idea? I used to go to Fortis. Um, if I'm going to boxing for a month, I think you should go straight to MMA. It's my opinion, but I'm also not an MMA fighter, so I might not be the best person to ask. Best endurance training for wrestlers. You just build your endurance, build an aerobic base. That's the best way to go about it. 3 repetition maximum deadlift, hand release push up, sprint drag carry, plank, 2 mile run. Listen, if I don't know too much about the demands of being an army. I think the army fitness test. Like, I don't know what the demands are for that, so I don't necessarily know. I might not be the best person to ask about that. But for me, it's like, do they have a good level of general strength? And do they have good endurance? Like, for example, a plank, it's like, I don't know how much a plank is really going to show. Like, sure, it shows good core strength, but something like a bench press or a squat or deadlift would be better, in my opinion. Appreciate the support, Abdel. Also, if you guys aren't, be sure to join my free community. I'll leave a link here. I do webinars every single week, and I have more, like, I guess for lack of a better term, intimate Q&As where I'm actually able to have a back and forth with you, a little bit less of you guys. So be sure to join. Hi, Martine. What do you think about ditch digging and tree cutting as a way to train striking power? Just keep it basic. Keep it basic. Build strength, build power, go and practice your sport. There's really no need to be overthinking these things and trying these complicated methods. Like, sure, they could be useful, but I know for a fact the basics work, and the basics are all you need. Yeah, I'm not going to do a video on the Army fitness test because that's not what I want to talk about. That's not going to it could be entertaining, but I'm prioritizing teaching people things. What's the most underrated and overrated exercise? I would say most underrated exercise has to be, for the way that most people train in the gym, training your obliques. I think people just don't train rotation. They don't resist rotation. So anything like that would be most underrated. Most overrated exercise, I guess I'll stick with the core here, just basic crunches, like that's not going to make the biggest impact when it comes to actual core strength. So I would say those two. Yo, what's up? God bless, bro. God bless you too. When it comes to punching power, how much does posterior chain contribute to overall striking capability? It plays a role because when you punch, like, if I'm doing a job, I'm trying to make this look weird because it has me, I think, reversed. Like if I'm throwing across, right, my left side technically pulls and my right side pushes, but um, I wouldn't overthink it like that. Like just build strength, build power, practice your sport. That's what's going to get you to be able to throw harder punches. What actually plays a large role in your punching power is your leg power. That's something I would focus more on. Yeah, bro, Mario is making a difference. What I talk about means nothing compared to what he talks about. So, can I load up creatine 20 grams per day for more than a week? You can if you want to. I've seen mixed reviews on creatine loading. I creatine loaded whenever I started, and it was fine. So, what supplements do you use and or recommend? I just recommend basic supplements. It also depends on what my clients are deficient in, but I just recommend basic supplements. But the main thing is making sure that you have the basics in place. Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you training right? Then supplements can be an addition, but it's not something that I would hyper focus on. I've been training my chest with push-ups and decline push-ups. I'm currently a little overweight, can't really increase the load. I have been increasing the volume though. Is this a viable strategy? Well, that's the problem with push-ups. If your goal is to build strength and to build muscle, it's just hard to load up. It's just not ideal. Did your beginner program when I first started lifting a few years ago, and now my little brother's lifting with it, any changes you'd make for that now? Probably just add in some more unilateral work. Um, Yeah, I would say just adding in more unilateral work and alternating work. Will only lifting weights make me slow? I only do compound movements, and most of them are unilateral exercises. Lifting weights doesn't make you slow. Um, yeah, lifting weights doesn't make you slow. Which workout traits are better? Driving power for takedowns, double leg takedowns, or single leg takedowns? What do you mean by which workout? Which exercise are you asking? Because workout is the entire thing. Appreciate it, bro. I'm talking to pronoun His Majesty. Cardio recommendations for striking combat sports. Currently doing a lot of jump rope and bag work. Build an aerobic base. Take the time to build an aerobic base. With my clients, I build an aerobic base, and we take that seriously, and then their conditioning just skyrockets. Like take the time to build an aerobic base. For some reason with the MMA culture, people just think about hit training and high intensity training. Like do the time to do that long duration, low intensity, steady state work. How did you discover about your breathing technique? Well, I discovered it because I had my own postural issues, and I went to go to professionals to help me fix it, and they recommended the breathing drills, and it helped me with everything that I was dealing with. And so now I preach it to all you guys because I know how much it can do and how much it works. To what point should I cut before starting a long bulk? I think cutting, like if you're not overweight or um you're not like preparing for a fight, then why are you cutting? You know, it's probably vanity based. It's like get to a healthy body fat that you can maintain. I'm lean, but it's easy for me to be lean. Martine, what are your top 5 best exercises for boxing? With I think people focus too much on exercises. You need to focus on methods, volume, and intensity first. Exercises is one of the least important things to consider. Have you recently competed in combat sports? I have not, and I don't plan on it. Hi, Martine. Quick question. I've been trying to bulk up as a high schooler, but I'm struggling a bit with diet since my dinner that my mom makes isn't the same thing every day. Can you help me? That's something you have to talk to your mom about. I can't help you with that. Are cheat rows good for progressively overloading the back via explosive pulling, like single arm rowing a heavier dumbbell and basically using momentum to pull the weight rather than strict form? It can help with starting strength, but if you're trying to improve it can be useful for high velocity strength, but you got to make sure that you're programming that it in intelligently rather than just kind of just like throwing it in there randomly, you know? How many minutes before training should you take cream of rice carbs? I never recommended cream of rice carbs. Do you do any plyometrics? No. I think building strength and improving your endurance will take you way further than plyometrics will. It's like, do that, play a sport. Before, you and your brother said to rest between sets of isolation exercises 2 minutes. Now you say max 90 seconds. How come? And our push-ups in isolation exercise or compound? Push-ups are compound. Rest ranges are really like, just make sure you don't rest too little, but it's also about efficiency. You know, you can do whatever you want, but I recommend 60 to 90 seconds. You don't need 2 minutes. You know, but you can rest 2 minutes if you want to. How are you like mentally? What do you mean by that? Also, if you guys ever want to see what working with me is like, be sure to book a call with me and we can go over your goals and how I can help you out. So I'll just drop that here. And yeah, if you're interested in working with me, be sure to book a call using that link. Why don't you make videos about making fun of bodybuilders anymore? They were super funny. Because there's a difference between making content for views and making content to get clients and help people out. That's my passion. My passion isn't about getting views, and I recognize that now. So I don't really do that anymore because my goals have changed. You know, I used to prioritize views. I don't care about views anymore. You know, I want to have people watch my videos because they want to learn from what I talk about, or work with me rather than people watching my videos just because they get a quick dopamine hit. Do you think static core work is enough for general health? Well, that with lifting weights, yes. But ideally, you do both static and dynamic core work. What are your picks for UFC White House card, Taporia, and Gan? Building a strong aerobic base changed the game for me so much, and really focusing on my breathing since you made that move towards posture. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, building an aerobic base is so important for combat sports, especially because, like I said, combat sports, they always prioritize high intensity interval training, high intensity conditioning methods, which is important, but you also have to build that base. And once you build that base, then you can improve your performance in HIIT training and obviously in your sport. I was just wondering, how's your welfare and mental health? That's it, really? Nothing stressful going on in life, I hope. No, life's going great. You know, there's times obviously where I'm stressed out, but regardless of whether you're stressed out or things are going well in life, I always make sure that I pray to God and I'm grateful for everything He's given me. And so everything's going great. And God has blessed me with a lot of things, and I'm really lucky. What are the top 5 exercises for varsity wrestlers? I think I mentioned this earlier. People focus too much on exercises. Focus on the methods, volume, intensity, training type, then exercises follow. It's like exercises really aren't that important in the grand scheme of things. What's most important are the other factors I just listed. I heard you got to change your workout plan every once in a while. Every once in a while, yeah. What should be changed exactly for maximizing hypertrophy? Everything should change like to some degree, but like if you, a general rule of thumb, keep compound lifts in there for a little bit longer because they require more skill. So you're not taking too much time learning the movement and using some maximal loads. Isolations, because they don't require as much skill, can be varied more frequently. But for the most part, you know, there's particular lifts, like for example, a barbell squat, you know, that stays in my program a lot. Bench press variations, you know, sometimes I'll switch it up, but you know, you got to make sure you stick with something for enough time that so you can actually progress on it. Hey Martine, love your videos. What would be the best split for a 4-day training schedule? Upper, lower, both times, hitting upper twice, lower twice. Bench press or dips for combat sports? Both. There's no magical exercise, and it also depends on the person too. What they need help with, what they enjoy is also important as well. Top calisthenic movements for strength. I like basic calisthenics. I think push-ups are good if you can load it up. Dips are good. Pull-ups are good. So the basics. How many days do you recommend for weight training a week? It depends on what your optimal volume is and what your schedule is. It really, there's no like black and white answer. That's the thing with fitness. It depends on the person. Are you going to be supporting anyone in the World Cup? I support England just because I like the Premier League, and a lot of the Premier League players are playing for England. And it used to be because a lot of Chelsea players play for England, but now it's just Reece James. So, is it necessary to keep the stack during all weighted and bodyweight exercises? Well, what do you mean by is it necessary? Like, yeah, it's what do you mean by is it necessary? If you could tell me that, I can answer that question better. Thoughts on my top 6 underrated exercises: Zercher squat, suitcase carry, close grip, pronated pull-ups, pile off press, alternating incline bench press, and single arm overhead press. Those are good exercises, and I can see you watch my content. Martine, is only three exercises for a leg day enough? It can be. I would probably do a couple more. Like, you have your 2 to 3 compounds, and then 1 to 2, maybe even 3 isolations just for some extra work. But 3 can be, yeah. If you do a squat, hinge, and a lunge, there you go. Hey, Martine, am I still natty if I took doctor? Like, don't get too obsessed with meaningless things. Like, am I still natty when a doctor gave you something? Like, there's just no need to stress out about that stuff. You said you talked D's bro. You said you talked to Mario about one-on-one coaching and been saving up to work with for a year. What would that be like? Because I'm trying to great things my senior year and want the best I can. Um, we offer flexible payment plans, D's bruh. So if you're interested in that, um, just DM me on school, or you can book a call with me and we can talk about it as well. I'll leave the link to book a call with me again. These calls are super chill. Like, we just figure out how we can help you out, and you decide whether or not you want to move forward or not. How can you know or feel how good your posture movement actually is? By range of motion assessments. Seeing if your range of motion improves. That's going to be the main thing, is seeing if your range of motion improves. So I don't know how to pronounce that, and Sark, but book a call with me and I can go over how I can help you improve your posture. That's going to be the best way to figure out if you're making progress or not. Is a weight belt useful? Yes, it is for loading up pull-ups and push-ups, yeah. Yeah, Zercher squats. I like Zercher squats because everyone's so extended, and Zercher squats brings the weight out in front of you. I think front-loaded squats are more underrated as well because it's easier to get a good range of motion because it brings your center of mass backwards. Everyone's so far forward, I mean, is it necessary? As in, do I have to prefer to get the most out of it? Well, do you have to? It's like, do you have to lift weights? It's like, well, you don't have to, but if you want to build muscle, then yeah. If you want to maximize progress, then yeah. What's the best way to improve overall athleticism? Not sport specific, but athleticism that transfers to various activities, including sports. I wish it was a simple answer, but it's like improving general qualities, improving general endurance, improving general power, improving general strength. Those are the best ways, and then going and practicing your sport. But I would say for the most part, doing a variety of different things, like I just said, like general endurance, general power, general strength. I remember your brother's view on carnivore, but I saw this opinion a while ago. Has your stance on diet consisting of primarily red meat changed? I primarily eat red meat. That's what I do, and I had 1,000 testosterone on my last lab test. So it's been working for me, and I feel good. So that's what I do. What's some good plyometrics workouts for MMA and how often? I think people focus too much on plyometrics. It's like you get a lot of like plyometrics from your sport when you're throwing punches explosively. Build general strength. That's going to take you way further. Once you build general strength, then you can worry about power. I think people focus too much on power when they don't have strength. Should workout programs center movement variations over specific exercises? No search or squat RDL. It's squat pattern, hinge pattern, meaning any exercise in those movement categories will work. Pretty much, yeah. Like a lot of it's also like there are particular ones that may transfer over better to your sport, but for the most part, it's like squat pattern, hinge pattern. Sticking with those, get stronger with it. So yeah, for the most part. You said you met Colby Covington. Colby Covington just does his stuff to get attention, which I don't have a problem with. Do you think contracting a muscle in a stretch position can help with flexibility? Getting stronger in a full range of motion will help with flexibility, and then also addressing your breathing. Because if you're not breathing properly, your body's tensed up, and then it won't allow you to get a better range of motion. Is upper lower split great for hypertrophy? Yes. What would you recommend for neck pain and stiffness after waking up? Figuring out what's causing that. If I'm doing a Bulgarian split squat and RDL twice a week, what is the benefit of adding a squat movement? You just get stronger because you're doing a bilateral lift, which will be better for improving strength. I think if I had to pick between a squat or a lunge or a split squat, I'd pick a lunge or a split squat. But if you want to get strong, then you should include a squat. It's going to be easier to get stronger. What is your ethnicity? My ethnicity is I'm Hispanic. I don't know if that's the ethnicity, but nationality, my parents are from Guatemala. I started sleeping on the floor to correct my posture. Advice for that? I can't fall asleep, by the way. Sleeping on the floor is not going to address your breathing and movement compensation, so it's not going to fix your posture. If you want to fix your posture, you should book a call with me. I'm going to leave a link down below. Again, if you guys want to work with me and see what that would look like, just book a call with me. It's free, and then we'll just see if working together makes sense. Are the breathing exercises you started to talk about before starting your workout necessary if I'm doing bodyweight exercises? How would bodyweight exercises change that? Like, how is that different than lifting with weights? Best way to get rid of bad front of shoulder hunch, so I think slouched over, anterior rib cage expansion. Doing breathing drills to expand your chest, the front of your rib cage. What's your take on Hamza's conditioning workout for his fight? Based on what I've seen, he seems to never build an aerobic base. He just goes for the high intensity stuff, and you're not going to have great conditioning if you don't have a great aerobic base. What's the best way to build endurance and speed, let's say for wrestling? Best way to build endurance, build an aerobic base with basic methods. Speed, basic methods. There's no secret. I think so many people think there's a secret. The secret is a great plan programmed for you. That's what the secret is. Where do you guys get your shirts from? I don't know if you're talking to me or everybody else. What are your thoughts on the argument that bodybuilding is inherently functional due to muscles having to get stronger to produce more force and move heavier loads? The thing with the word functional, it's used so differently between people. It's like, yes, muscle is functional, I guess, and like getting stronger is functional, but will it help you perform at your highest level? If that's all you're doing, no. It doesn't take movement or breathing into consideration. So no, it won't. Everything is inherently functional. Like if you do a Bosu ball squat, that's functional, but it's not the best way to improve your function. That's what I consider functional training. Is it optimal for improving function? Should I do plyo if I don't have 2 times bodyweight squat, or no? Should I just get? You can do plyos, but you shouldn't be doing a full-on plyometric workout and stuff, in my opinion. Should I eat steak or chicken for cutting? I mean, both are protein options, but I think steak is better. Martine, why are you Christian? Because I believe Jesus is God. Can you explain those breathing exercises for those of us who don't know what you're talking about? Breathing exercises help to calm your nervous system down and teach you, or almost like teach your body that proper alignment. So the ribs stacked on top of the pelvis is the best way to breathe. And so if you do breathing exercises, you help bring the ribs on top of the pelvis, and then you breathe in that position. And again, you're almost training your nervous system that that is a safe place to be and a safe place to breathe. And when you're in the stack, when you have the stack, that is optimal alignment for your weightlifting. It's also optimal breathing, like I said, and also optimal alignment for athleticism. To some degree, athleticism, it's okay to be a little bit extended, but you want to manage that. Try not to go too in depth here because I'm kind of running behind on the questions. As an athlete, should you focus training on the main movements in your sport? Basketball is a lot of pushing, or should you focus on all movements of the body? It doesn't matter. All movements of the body. If not, honestly, it would be the opposite of anything, because then you would just be overtraining. You would just be repeating the movements you always do. And I'm going to leave a link to my free community, guys. Be sure to join the free community if you haven't already. How often do you do cardio? Right now, I'm doing it 4 to 6 times per week, but I'm doing an endurance block right now. So I've gotten pretty fast. So the best way to improve athleticism is doing compound athletic bodybuilding and plyos. You're too focused on the optimal method. Get stronger, improve endurance. That's what's going to get you better at your sport, and playing your sport. That's what's going to make you athletic. Martin, what's the best way to get a thick neck? Train your neck. What's your opinion on 2 days, 2 workouts per day? It can be good, especially if you play a sport, but it should be kept at a minimum, like 2 to 3 times per week max. And you got to manage your recovery. You have to track it. Make sure that you're not doing too much work. It can be easy to overtrain when you're doing a ton of 2-a-days, Martine, do you know if your brother will ever go back to his old content? This content he's making now makes more of an impact, and he's good at it. I've seen lots of stuff of protein powder being bad for you, but I'm not sure if it's good or bad. Protein powder comes from milk. It's not bad for you, but you also shouldn't be having too much of it. You should prioritize whole food protein sources. Have you gotten an injury from doing Muay Thai or doing Muay Thai and workouts? I've had minor injuries, but nothing major. Does doing long distance running inherently cause muscle atrophy, or are long distance runners naturally skinny? The reason why long distance runners are naturally skinny is because it helps them for their sport. And they don't try and build muscle, It's not from the running in itself inherently. Although you never recommend machines, if you had to pick a list of machines for every body part, what exercise machine would closely resemble movements done in MMA or real-life combat in military war? You're focusing too much on replicating the sport in the gym. Just get strong at the basic movements and then go and do your sport. It doesn't have to perfectly replicate what's done in your sport. At the end of the day, you're going to be pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, and lunging, and rotating. What intensity of walking counts as zone 2? The only way you would know that is if you track your heart rate. You're focusing too much on the exercise. Focus on the method, and the method is intensity. So focus on the intensity. How do you progressively overload correct? With good form, trying to do more than you did last time. But I would even argue that progressive overload is just a byproduct of training the right way. Thoughts on Xabi Alonso at Chelsea? I'm excited for it. Best way to boost speed? Sprint. Thanks for answering my question, but also, do I have to run for a long time in order to get better endurance? Let's say 40 minutes to a few hours. Also, is good for muscle growth to walk outside. Walking is not a method to build muscle, so I wouldn't overthink that. In terms of walking and running for a long time, in order to build an aerobic base, you eventually have to do like 40 to 90 or 30 to 90 minutes and build up to 90 minutes. Yeah. Ali, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the comment. Do I have to work out every single day or only a few days, which is better? It depends on the person. There is no I think a lot of you focus too much on one answer. It's complicated. That's why it's good to have a coach with you that can analyze how you're responding, because you might respond well to one thing and someone else might respond best to another thing. How do you balance kickboxing and hypertrophy training while maintaining and building muscle? You pick a priority and then work around it, making sure that you take recovery seriously. Currently doing cardio before and after boxing training, but when it comes to strength and conditioning, should I watch when I do it? Do cardio before weightlifting. Should I watch when I do it? You should have like a couple hours in between your boxing training, and you shouldn't be doing conditioning on the same day, ideally. About breathing exercises, you mentioned that the type of exercise you must do depends on your postural problem, and in order to know, you must be tested. Can you find out which you must do alone? No, you need someone who knows what they're doing. Yeah. Only started the breathing exercises the past week, and they have helped so much for my posture and form the gym already. Thank you, Martine. You're welcome, Kyle. Glad to hear that you're seeing a lot of progress. Is there really much of a benefit of doing a back squat over a isometric squat / front squat? You're able to load the movement up more, so you get stronger. Do health and performance have to be individually prioritized if I want either? Like how I need to prioritize strength over endurance and vice versa if I want to develop either traits optimally? There's a period where like you improve health and performance at the same time, but then if you're trying to specialize in something, then you're going to have to venture off. So to a certain degree, but if you want to be like a specialist in performance, then your health is going to go down a little bit. That's just how it is. But you're also like, if you're not trying to be a pro athlete, then you'll be fine, you know? I finally understood you, so I need to get overall stronger and train my sport, and it will make me athletic. Guess it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. Ideally, you have someone who knows what they're doing, programming your work in so you can balance it out and you know you're making progress. Is Stairmaster good cardio? Yeah. How long should you do for endurance? You're focusing too much on the exercise. Again, it's the method. What method is the best? That's the most important thing. And then you do the exercise. But in the grand scheme of things, exercise is not that important. I'll be honest. It's like, locomotion, or, like that includes walking, jogging, or sprinting. It's like, if you say, oh, is locomotion a good way to improve cardio? It's like, okay, well, what's the intensity? That's what determines the adaptation. So focusing too much on exercises, that should be the least of your concern. It's the method, the volume, and the intensity. That's the most important thing. In your opinion, what would be the optimal workout split for building strength, push-pull legs, full body? It depends on the person. There's no concrete answers. If you're asking me questions about what the best thing is, you're asking the wrong person, because I'm not going to give you a BS answer and say that there's one thing that's better than everything else. Like, it depends. It depends on the person. El Medi, if you're from the United States, book a call with me and I can go over how I can improve your posture. I'll leave a link here to book a call. Yeah, book a call there. If you're cutting and you're going on a vacation where gym isn't available, is it okay to take your entire deload week where you do nothing, and should you still be doing body weight? I think your priorities aren't right there. Like, have fun with life. The gym shouldn't be your entire life. Like, go to your vacation, have fun. If you can't lift weights, it's whatever, Yeah, have fun. If you're worried about your fitness goals when you're on vacation, then I think your priorities aren't straight. How do we know to increase the intensity in breathing exercises? whenever the other ones are easy. But I mean, the main thing with the breathing exercises is are you feeling air where you need to be feeling air? Are you relaxing? That's the most important thing. Is stability an under prioritized trait that a lot of people in the fitness industry overlook? I would say core stability it is yeah. But a lot of it is you get from just doing the compound lifts. But like do your compound lifts and then do your core stability work afterwards. Do you still train any combat sports? No. Bro, is hybrid training good for beginners? Please, bro, answer. It's like that's like saying is running good for beginners, or is lifting good for beginners, or is MMA good for beginners? You have to do something eventually. If you want to do hybrid training, go and do it. Hi, Martine. Recently started doing standing shoulder press after watching some of your vids, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's just different. Appreciate the content. Glad to hear that, bro. And make sure you're keeping the stack. Do I walk slash run until I cannot anymore in order to properly build endurance better? No, that's not how you build endurance. No, 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 no. That's not how you build endurance. Oh, I prefer striking 100%. I have a taekwondo background. I prefer doing Muay Thai. I've done grappling, but I'm not going to compete. And I didn't enjoy it, so I was kind of like, there's really no need for me to do it. Do you plan on starting a fitness series? No, because I don't really know what that means. Probably gonna chill here for a couple more minutes. So, bro, as a beginner, upper or lower split's good, or push pull leg is better. I like push pull legs, but whatever one you like the most. Cardio 7 times a week? No, you need a rest day. I can't feel my obliques when doing cable wood chopper oblique twist, but I can when doing Russian twist. Is this an issue with my form? Well, your obliques are helping to prevent rotation, so it could be form. I don't know. You'd someone would have to see you do it and see, but um, to some degree, don't overthink where you're feeling it to some degree. Like if you're rotating, if you're getting stronger at rotation, that's the most important thing. For direct core work, how could someone blend anti-movement and movement core patterns into their core training? A little confused with that question because you just program it in. Do you believe that running on concrete long enough can have an impact on your joints? It can, but anything can have an impact on your joints. Like overlifting can improve can hurt your joints as well. So yeah, I guess it could, but I don't overthink that kind of stuff. But I saw your breathing exercises do make sense because they train the serratus posterior muscles that are crucial for posture and the movements of the rib cage. Yeah. Do you have Ghana Pereira? I think I have Ghana, but I haven't really thought about it too much. Were you always into athletics, or did you start by lifting for a good physique? Well, I've always been into athletics, like just based on my interests, but I lifted for a good physique. Yeah. Thank you, Martine, for this live. I had fun talking to you, but I gotta go. I hope you have a wonderful, happy life, and may God be with you. May God be with you too. I'm actually gonna probably end this live stream here in a second. How to properly rest, sleep. Uh, yeah. Um, it felt so weird starting the exercise like bench pressing with a block to keep the stack, as I had to go down a weight and my core became a lot more active as a stabilizer. Yeah, it takes a second to get used to. Bro, is a dumbbell press better or Smith machine bench press better? Depends on your goal. Hi, Martine. I'm a teen soccer athlete in the off season. I do 4 times a week upper lower and sprinting day. Is that good, or should this be adjusted? It depends what it looks like. Yeah, it depends what it looks like, but and it also depends what your goal is in the off season. Best way to improve neuromuscular components: lift weights and do plyometrics. Also, breathing drills are important for that as well. All right, I'm going to answer a couple more. What do you think about Jeremy Ethier? I don't really pay attention to other creators, to be honest. Should I start grappling or striking first? I'm not an MMA expert, so I don't know. Also, like, it depends on your goal. Like, what supplements should you take? If you're a beginner, like, don't worry about supplements right now. Like, there's no need. Do the basics. Make sure you're going to the gym consistently, eating well, you know? No need to overthink supplements and hyper optimize. Like, do the little things that make the biggest difference. Just to check, more strength correlates to more power, right? To some degree, yeah. Because power is how fast you can produce force. If you can produce force, a lot of force, then that's going to be powerful. Am I still taking the grass-fed organic whey? Yeah. Should I be doing deadlifts if I've already have RDLs in my routine? Depends what your entire routine looks like. 20,000 steps a day, overdoing it or not? Probably overdoing it. Best way to improve hamstring tightness. Best way to address hamstring tightness is to figure out why your hamstrings are tight, which would likely be particular breathing exercises that address that. When's your next long form video coming out? I don't know. Can I eat 6 eggs daily to complete my protein goals as a beginner? Yes. That's fine. But I can tell by your questions you're overthinking a lot of things. Like, just do the basics. Like, just try your best and take action. You know, you're overthinking every little thing. That means you're not trusting the process. Martin, what are you in achy? I don't know what that means. Regarding breathing exercises, if I were to do all 3 of them, would that help me in any way or make my situation worse? It depends on what your movement and breathing compensations are. With the breathing drills, it really does require a personalized approach. It really does. I have shoulder pain when I bench, but I do compound lifts, and this has been an issue in the past 2 weeks. What should I do? You have to get an assessment. Like, I can't tell you what's wrong if I don't know what your mobility is. I don't know what your form looks like. I can't tell you from little information like that. What's your height? I'm 5'11". What made you start making content? I enjoyed fitness and always wanted to do that for a living, and so I decided to make content. Thoughts on this routine for Muay Thai conditioning? 10 rounds of 3 minutes through 30 seconds rest. After that, 10 rounds of 15 on 15 on the assault bike. But what are you trying to improve? You know, from seeing this initially, you know, it sounds like you're doing a lot, and it seems random. Like, there's no structure behind your conditioning routine. What can I do until I manage to meet with a physical therapist? Well, if it hurts, rest and just do light mobility. Low volume, high intensity workout is good for maximum gains. It's Mike Mentzer's program. It could be good for some people, could not be good for some people. Speaking in absolutes is never the right answer. Does doing heavy anaerobic cardio after lifting hurt gains? It could. It depends on what you're doing. I have a lot of compound exercises which low lower back. Can it be bad in the long run? I lift 4 times a week. I don't know. It depends on what your form is. It depends on what the overall program looks like. How can I prevent hip flexor pain while doing hip abduction exercises? doing it with good form, understanding why your hip flexor is hurt in the first place. If the hamstring issues are in the soft tissue, despite decent lower body strength, while still struggling with lower mobility, bringing exercises a route. If you have structural damage to the hamstrings, then you need to go and get that looked at. Breathing exercises won't fix structural damage. It's like breathing exercises aren't going to fix a torn ACL, you know? Are the breathing exercises required if you don't actually have postural problems? It's not required. You're not required to do anything. You're not required to lift weights. You're not required to go to school. You're not required to do anything. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up there. It was nice talking to you guys. I'm going to leave a link to join my free community. I host weekly webinars on there, so be sure to check that out. And I will see you guys next time.